Welcome to a new series where we'll be looking at a coaching kind of tutorial and a view on how to play decks and just kind of getting some insight from better players in the community and how they kind of view the game and how they go through play by play. So today we've got Infernoid Invoked, and I've got with me Acepcion here, and he piloted this deck himself at the last YCS, so he's pretty well versed in it and he knows what he's doing, and basically he's just gonna give his insight into this deck, and hopefully you guys can learn a bit from it as well in understanding how to sort of order your plays and things like that. So let's just take a look at the deck list real quick. So I've got it up here. Do you see it now?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, cool. So I'm playing 60 cards, Infernoid Invoked. Yeah. So what are your thoughts?
I think you should still be playing the Lightsworn engine. That's just me, because I think like Wolves and like Solar Recharge and Charge are like the most powerful cards. I'm not really a big fan of the Spellbook engine because usually I don't think it's like that consistent, especially when you play a lot of cards. I get that it makes that one card Snow like a lot better, but then there's a lot more like efficient things you could be doing. And I don't know, I just think stuff like, I think the Invoked engine should be more on the like back burner. It should not be like the focal point of the deck. I think the Infernoid spells and traps are like the best cards in the deck, so I think you should be focusing more on that. But besides that, it looks fine. It's just like an Infernoid deck.
Do you play similar ratios, like the 3 Imagination? Do you play 3?
Yeah, it's as many power cards or like bombs as possible. So like my list at the YCS, I played like 3 Left Arm, 3 Desires, 3 Imagination, 3 Void, Void, a Vanishment, and then just as many like powerful cards as possible. So that's what I maxed out on. The thing with Void Feast is it's really good going first, but like I think just drawing it, even opening hand, it doesn't make your hands explosive. It doesn't make like the insane boards that you want to. And going second, it's like abysmal. So that's why I never played more than 1.
Okay. All right, that's fair enough. Let's jump into the replay here. So this should come up here. All right, cool. So yeah, Infernoid Invoked, the list I showed. I think it's basically card for. I might change like 1 or 2 things, really minor stuff. I'm playing against True Draco Invoked, actually. A bit of a strange deck, but yeah, this is the opening hand here. So what would be your line of play?
Well, I guess just open with Vanishment, discard Snow, see if he has anything. The common mistake that a lot of people like to do with this deck is to just left arm immediately, but I feel like trying to bait out as many cards to make sure your left arm is going to resolve. So if you look at this like line of play, searching another Void Feast is fine, because next turn, after setting all the Void Feasts, you'll still have the same amount of cards you need for left arm, and Void Feast automatically baits out an Ash. So that's why I would do it. Also, I would have probably just waited for.
So do you prefer to use it in the main phase?
Yeah, I would prefer to make them like guess what you're going to summon off of it. So that's why I usually like hold on to Void Feast, because sometimes them like knowing you have Void Feast will make them play very weird, and it will set up to a point where maybe you don't actually need to use Void Feast, and you can use Void Feast at their end phase to try to break their board, or use Void Feast on your turn to like try to like outplay them. So usually I like to hold on to it unless I know for a fact they're playing like Trickstar, where I need to negate Candina like immediately. But
so what
like
about
doing
first
this
turn?
is still what do you mean first
like
turn?
first turn, like going blind and you don't know what you're playing.
First turn going blind, I'd probably just wait, because like your opponent knowing you have Void Feast, they're gonna probably like play inefficient, and also like you might play too many you might put your Decatrons on the wrong mode going blind, like flipping it immediately like standby phase. That's why I like holding on to it.
All right. And in this situation, I went double Adunku Deviati. Like, is there ever a time where you think maybe double Deviati Adunku is better?
I think that's fine. Like, it's obviously it changes between the matchups. I think going blind, there's no real 100% this is the best option. I would prefer Double Deviati because I think Spiral and Trickstar don't actually have real win conditions besides their monster effects. So I would try to do it. I would try to, negate monster effects. But the thing is, you're playing against True Draco Invoked. So the spells and traps are like really the problem with the deck, not the monster effects. So in hindsight, like it's probably better to go double Ononku against this style of deck.
So I let him resolve the secrets here. Do you think that was correct?
Yeah, I think that's fine. Like, if he searches the draw two and he uses it immediately, then you can still Nonku. But like the fact that he has to use up his normal summon is something very like important. So I think waiting to negate the Spellbook Magician of Prophecy is probably best.
Okay.
Because like if he summons Magician of Prophecy, then he can't summon Alistair. He can't do anything like that. So you like waste a normal summon. Yeah, at this point you've already won the game.
Yeah, it is like a really strong opening. And what would you do at this point? Because left arming doesn't really seem like it would really achieve much.
Yeah, left arming doesn't do anything right now. So I would probably this isn't game, but there's a thing you could do with Infernoid where you can link to clear up the board so you can summon more guys and potentially do a lot of damage.
Mm-hmm.
You could have took a line of play where you could have actually just straight killed him. Like you make like an Akashic or like Link monsters with your 4 monsters, and then summon back Deviati to blow up the backfield, and then left arm for like Magical Meltdown, which then lets you make an Alistair, and then you could potentially do a bunch of damage. But I think like this line of play is like way safer. But usually I would try to just rush through the damage as fast as possible,
Mm-hmm.
Especially against like a deck like this where like inevitability, like you're gonna lose over time because their deck like doesn't stop. Like he's gonna just keep like powering through stuff. So I would try to end the game as quick as possible.
So I think here it's a bit of a no-brainer to just negate the Stormforth with one.
Yeah, obviously. Also, you misplayed. You didn't activate Sajet's effect. Like that's a small thing, but like it might have added up eventually. And it's just like little things like knowing stuff that like truly matters.
I feel like sometimes that can be a bit risky because like they choose what they send from the extra, and sometimes like that can kind of help.
Well, what benefit do they get from banishing? Like what card?
Oh, does it banish? I thought it.
It banishes.
Okay, yeah, okay, that's a good point. Okay, so he summons Maiden here, and I guess I think I just DD Crow something from his grave just to not take damage.
Really? Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, that's fine. If you had Diagram, that would be wrong, but yeah, it's probably fine.
The main phase 2.
Also, I would have just. Oh no, the monster's banished, so you're good.
Okay, so he just scoops it up. I think it's unfortunate I can't see what I sided because I actually can't remember what I sided, and there's a whole bunch of options. I mean, what would you typically side if you knew you were playing against a Draco deck?
Well, I would need to see your deck list again because I don't know off the top of your head your list.
Oh, just like if from your side or just generic kind of things.
Just like generically, just like backfield removal is obviously really strong. Twin Twisters is very strong. Kaijus are really important, I think, in this matchup because the biggest thing is it's sometimes really hard to kill Masterpiece. Obviously, your deck is like well equipped because you have cards like Ononku, but sometimes they can just stick it and you have no answer. So just upping the amount of cards in your deck to out a Masterpiece is really strong.
All right, so he chooses to go first here. I feel like that's maybe wrong with the Draco deck.
Yeah, especially like if he was playing cards like the Monarch Erupts, he obviously doesn't because he has an extra deck. If he's playing cards like Monarch's Erupt, I think I'd always blind first because just setting up that lock is like unbeatable. Not unbeatable, but like it's very strong. Mm-hmm. But yeah, against Infernoid, I probably might let them go first, especially because the True Draco deck is a lot better at breaking boards than actually setting up like unbeatable locks. Mm-hmm. Also, like the thing is, if he summons an extra deck monster right now, he could potentially just lose to Void Imagination. So like I think going second is a little bit better against Infernoid. Obviously, it changes matchup by matchup.
Yeah, so let's just skip forward a little bit. So he goes for knowledge. He can. I feel like is it like normal for Draco to play like a little spellbook engine?
Yeah, usually they do play a spellbook engine because the deck's not that consistent. The thing with your opponent is he's also playing a 47 card deck. That's like the first thing I noticed when watching this, and that's probably just he already lost when he put his deck into the pool. Like the problem with this deck is consistency. So 47 is definitely not the correct number at all.
So I didn't realize this until like game 3 or something when he like ended up summoning like invoked cards. But yeah, he said he does it in this game actually. So he's playing invoked as well alongside it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see any conflicts there, or do you think that's probably working?
No, I think the invoked engine is strong because it's like it helps cement some of the problems with True Draco. So I think the invoked engine is very good because it's like a train that never stops rolling. Like you can keep applying pressure, and sometimes the True Draco deck doesn't actually have that much pressure if they don't stick a Masterpiece. Like just having Majesty Maiden doesn't do anything unless you're summoning Masterpiece. So I think the Invoked engine is good in that deck. However, I really, really like the True Draco Demise Monarch's Erupt deck because I think it does a lot of unfair things, and you can't possibly play Invoked and Monarch's Erupt in the same deck. But I think Monarch's Erupt is like an insane card, so I don't think the Invoked deck is that great, the Invoked True Draco, but I can see why it's good because the Invoked helps a lot of matchups. Like the Invoked engine's really good against Trickstar, but True Draco actually just isn't that great against Trickstar, so I can see why he plays it.
So I can't remember what exactly he ended with here, but I think he does manage to set up like a Masterpiece player. Okay, no, he's so he's summoning the Maiden, setting 1. Okay, so draw another Desires here, which is unfortunate. What's your line of play here?
It's probably just Desires right now because like your opponent desired, so your left arm's still going to mill the same amount, and you basically just want to check if he has Ash.
Yeah. It's always such a butt clench moment. I think the Maiden is like really good because obviously like
the Maiden's really good because it's going to search Masterpiece, and that's like the biggest issue here because I'm assuming it's just a trap set.
Yeah. All right, so that resolves, and let's see what I draw here. Yeah, the Masterpiece. So draw another left arm and secrets.
I'd probably still just try to like bait out as much as possible. So like obviously like secrets, summon the guy, and then try to draw 2. I think left arm is the most powerful card in the deck, but it's also the most like it's the most susceptible to obviously Ash. So that's why I think playing as many bomb cards is like really important in this deck. So yeah, see like right here, it's like good because that baited out a trap, and now you know you're basically clear for clear where he won't be summoning Masterpiece. So I would try to find as much ways to do 8,000 damage as possible.
So I choose the play of just going for a feast here. I guess, like, do you think you would have just left armed?
Yeah, 100%. I think I would just left arm because you're not. You basically at this point are clear to land, like clear to like take off because he has to have Ash, but he probably would have Ash Desires. And if they don't Ash Desires, then obviously it's not great, but Desires is like auto Ash. Mm-hmm. And I think you not going off by left arming is the reason why you lost this game, because it's like you had an opening, but you chose not to take it. Like you could have potentially just killed him if you milled like a guy in a snow. Like that's just game, you know. And I probably would have just activated Vanishment, not discard, and just left arm there, because if you Vanishment and then left arm, you ruin all potentials to do 8,000 damage because you can't summon snow through Vanishment's effect. Mm-hmm. So I would have just activated Vanishment, left arm, grass, and at that point try to get lucky.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with this deck, where you have to acknowledge sometimes, like, you have to roll the dice and see if you could win. And that's where a lot of people don't play the deck efficiently. Because see here, even though it looks like you're fine because you're grinding out, you could have actually just auto-winned and did 8,000 damage against a deck that's trying to get you to the late game.
Yeah. So, like, in my mind and my reasoning is... I felt like left arming away like my entire hand. Like, I'm not at any risk of getting ashed or anything, because like he probably he's, as you said, he would have just did it on desires. But it just feels like really neg, and obviously that's wrong. But I'm just telling you like how I kind of saw it. Like it just feels kind of bad to like left arm like 5 cards. Yeah.
The thing is, like, you have to understand like the role you play in the game. If you're not going to win any game he summons Masterpiece unless your hand is already nuts, and he already is in the position of summoning Masterpiece next turn. So you have to realize that you're the aggro. You're the one that has to win soon, because later in the game you're not going to win. Mm-hmm. So you have to, even though it looks sketchy to left arm, I think at that point left arming was 100% the correct move, because you set yourself in the position to win if you get lucky, and your deck is designed to get lucky by playing cards like Snow. Like you would auto win the game if you milled like Infernoid, Snow, and that one card, the Alistair plus Invocation. Like that's auto win, but you could have just won by milling 2 Snows and Infernoid, or just like a bunch of Infernoids and 1 Snow is 8,000 damage. Well, 6,000 because he warning. Mm-hmm. So I think it's like really like knowing your role, to where you have to understand that you're not going to win the long game, especially against like a Masterpiece Invoked. Well, you didn't see the Invoked engine, so against a Masterpiece deck. So you're not going to win when they're going to summon Masterpiece, so you have to just go off there and then. And you had like all the tools to win, but you chose a line of play that makes it to where you wanted to grind, and I think that was like super incorrect.
Okay. Yeah, it's fair enough. So I think in my mind, like I wasn't like looking like far ahead enough to the idea that like he is in like the kind of control position and he's got the upper hand, and I'm the one who's on a sort of like timer almost.
Yeah, you're the one on the clock.
Yeah. And so I think this is where he brings down Masterpiece. And he just takes a really like powerful and commanding position at this point, because now he's got a fusion play as well as Masterpiece. So he's drawing 2 here, and here comes the summon.
Yeah, at this point the game's like pretty much over.
He forgets to put Merkaba on the field here until like my turn, but yeah, here it is. So I've drawn Knowledge, which I guess doesn't do anything right now. So I guess I probably Desires here, right?
No, I'd probably summon
Harmonic.
Harmonic. Try to see if he lets it resolve. Obviously, he's either gonna negate, which I don't think he will. He's probably just gonna Masterpiece here, and like you just want to bait out as many cards as possible, because like you have to see your win condition, and right now your win condition is probably resolving Imagination, so you have to force out the negate, basically. So like all your power cards are spells, so you would have to hopefully he negates with the spell. So now here, like, you're almost clear to win the game, not win the game, but like get close to winning. So here you can go like Desires, draw, and then if you can force out the negate of Macabre, then you're like in the driver's seat. So obviously here you blow up the board, you blow up the thing. He negates with Macabre, then you negate that, and then now you again have the potential to win. Also, you could have taken a line of play where you don't negate and you leave the Macabre. Oh yeah. And then now you're now how you say your imagination's live, so that's like a powerful thing.
Mm-hmm. So I think like that's kind of where I was going for was like don't use Deviati just so he keeps the Merkaba up, and it means I can like summon Tiara.
Yeah, that's a very, I think that's a very good and underrated play where like see right here I would have just desired.
Yeah, that's true. But I was kind of scared because like I thought like because I already have one Deviati like gone. So if I desires and banish one of those Deviatis, my imagination is dead.
But you have to look at it like this: like desires could potentially draw. I don't know what you sided, but you could have drawn way better cards at this point.
Yeah, I could have drawn like evenly matched maybe.
Like I think this entire game, you're taking lines of play where you're being really safe, and that's fine. But I think like a really good duelist knows when he needs to obviously take a gamble.
Yeah.
And right now, I feel like you don't actually win the game by resolving imagination. You have to have like the forethought to be like, okay, can I win if I desires, then I summon stuff, then left arm into a full thing, and then maybe you could have got there then. But I think the game was already over the moment you didn't left arm turn one.
But hypothetically, if I was to desires away a Deviati and make imagination dead, would I not be in a really like just awful position?
Do you play Soul Charge?
No.
Okay, so you would be in a bad position, but you have to look at it like this, right? Like the games where you banish Deviati, you lose, but the games where you don't, you potentially just auto win every single time. And right now, like, what does imagination do to where you win straight up? Like, what can you actually do?
I think the idea was like I can if I can successfully keep imagination live, I can summon Tiara, but then I can send Untis and like popping 3 cards so I can clear the Merkaba, the diagram, which makes Masterpiece unprotected by battle, and I can pop the spell. And he actually chooses to scoop here, which I thought was quite surprising because I felt like he was actually.
No, I'm pretty sure like he could potentially just win.
Even after this.
Yeah, even after this, like
you
would have to like snow away your guy, summon a guy, summon a big guy attack, and he has 4 cards still, and I think 4 cards is enough to beat just one negate.
All right, well, guys. This has been your first in the coaching series. I'd like to really thank Ed here for joining me and helping out. So yeah, let me know in the comment section if you thought this was helpful, if you want to see more, any changes and stuff you do to it, like the series and stuff, because I really enjoyed this. So let me know what you guys think down below. If there's any decks that you are interested in seeing being coached, then do leave a comment below and let me know what you would like to see me play and have someone sort of guide me through the plays. And hopefully we'll be back again soon. So thanks again, Ed, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, no problem.